Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, I'm Deborah and you're watching Ask Deborah. Now, it's been a while, I know. I am slowly but surely getting back to the videos. Forgive me, it is really hectic working a full-time job as a trainee solicitor with 3 children. Yes, and guys, guess what? I am about to qualify in 4 months. So forgive me with the videos being somewhat sporadic. I do promise that they will become a lot more frequent upon qualification. But I just wanted to jump on today or this evening and give you a little bit of an insight as to a scenario that I am aware of. And perhaps it might be something that can support somebody who's watching this video or somebody that you know who's in need of sort of guidance and stirring in the right direction as to what they should be doing. So a situation has arisen where there is a young boy who is of, excuse me, primary school age. And for some time now, he has been experiencing some difficulties at school. Now, this has been going on since he was in nursery, as far back as I can remember, and he has only just gotten into year 1. During the time in which he was in nursery, he was often called up by, or his parents rather, were often called up by the school and asked to collect him to sort of cool off and can you bring him back maybe tomorrow or keep him off school for a couple of days, that kind of thing. And I know a lot of you might be listening to this and be thinking, oh my God, yeah, that happened to my child. I've been asked to collect them. I want to let you know that that's actually called an illegal exclusion. Okay, schools are not allowed to ask you to come and collect your child and keep them off for a few days. If a school wants to exclude your child or suspend them, as some say, they need to officially write to you, put it in writing and say, child X has been suspended for X amount of days and the reasons why. That is when the exclusion is legal and when the exclusion is official. Asking you to leave work or leave whatever you're doing to come and collect your child because they've had a bad day or there's been an incident is not officially going on the child's record. And a lot of the times school do that to obviously keep their exclusion rates down. So that's the first thing I want to mention. The second thing is if your child is persistently displaying disruptive behavior for one reason or another, and you can't quite figure out what the problem is, there might be an underlying issue as to why your child is behaving a certain way at school and perhaps not at home. Or they may also be behaving that way in both settings. But it's a really good idea to discuss with the school the types of steps that they can take to provide adequate support for your child. Now, that might be that, your child needs regular breaks. It might mean that they might need the support of, a teaching assistant. And in some occasions, it might even mean that they need support from what we call a learning support assistant. We just don't know at this stage, right? But it's really important to get to the bottom as to why your child is essentially acting out. Now, in this situation, really sad that this child has been sent home a number of times, asked to stay off a number of times. Every now and then there's also been official suspensions or exclusions. There's been reduced timetables and so on and so forth. And I've said to this parent, well, hold on a minute, what's actually happening here? Have the school referred, your child to the SENCO? And those of you who don't know what the SENCO is, that acronym essentially stands for Special Educational Needs Coordinator. And that's a person within the school that sort of oversees all the children who might have education healthcare plans or who might have learning difficulties or special educational needs, and what have you. And they work with the staff to put special measures in place to ensure that that child can access the curriculum like everyone else. So, my question in the first instance is the Senko involved? What support is being put in place to make sure that this child is able to access the curriculum and essentially learn, right? Because that's what we're sending our children to school to do. In this instance, yes, the Senko had been referred to, I believe. I'm not really sure on the top of my head what work was actually being done, but to my knowledge, yes, the Senko had been involved, but things weren't changing. They were still actually escalating. So my next thing was, okay, well, if this is something that the school are not able to handle, has there been a referral made to the educational psychologist? Because you really want to be involving external professional practitioners to come and do an observation, make sure they're able to assess the child's needs and support the school to put things in place. Now, unfortunately, at the time of when this particular person had suggested this educational psychology involvement, as I had told her to do so, the school sort of said, oh, well, it takes a long time. It's about a 2-year waiting list. Now, look, I'm very aware that there's a national crisis when it comes to educational psychologists, and there is a shortage of them, and there's a massive waiting list. However, that said, that is not an excuse for a school not to ask for help. It's not an excuse for a school not to take the relevant steps to get that emotion. And actually, even if there was a 2-year waiting list, had they had applied for the educational psychologist to come in the school at the point of when mum had made the suggestion when the child was in nursery, or whatever stage that would be for your child, then perhaps they would be closer up on the waiting list for that observation to take place now. Do you see what I mean? So don't let the school fob you off and say, it's too long of a wait. We're just going to handle it in-house. If your child has, experienced multiple exclusions, as, in the sad case here, then clearly the school needs support, and really they should be banging on the door of the local authority to say, hi guys, we need some support here. What are we doing wrong? What can you help us with? So, this mother did go back to the school and say, look, on my sort of suggestion, I said, look, go back to the school and say, I am happy to wait, this waiting list with this educational psychologist. I'm more than happy to wait the time frame. I understand it's a 2-year wait. However, I really feel that my son needs to be on this list. Well, lo and behold, after sending this email, and what I did, I said, look, make sure this is in writing, okay? And this is what I want to say to you also. If you are going to correspond with the school, with your child's school, and you have anything that you feel is a gripe or a discrepancy, anything that you feel that, well, that doesn't sound quite right, I'm not happy with this, you said this one day and you said that another day, so there's a discrepancy in the things that are being communicated with you. Make sure your correspondence is in writing. I cannot stress this enough, okay? Follow up with an email. If you've had a meeting, if you've had a chat in the morning, if you had a telephone conversation, please follow it up with writing, just to reiterate what has been said in that conversation. I can't stress that enough. So mum has gone back to the school and has said, we're quite happy, in writing, she sent an email, we're quite happy to wait the waiting list of 2 years. We understand, however, we want our son on, this waiting list for a referral. Well, lo and behold, I think, I kid you not, about a week later, an educational psychologist came in to observe this child. A week later, mum was initially told it was a 2-year wait. This is what I mean, guys. And that's not to say that, it might happen the same way for you at your school. There definitely is a national crisis. There is a shortage of educational psychologists. You might not be as lucky to get, somebody come in just like that. However, that said, it really is important just to get that ball rolling and not to allow them to say to you, oh, well, it's going to take too long, so there's no point. Because some local authorities are putting in other things in place in the absence of an educational psychologist. So, for example, there might be a phone-in sort of a type of service where schools can actually call in, you know, on a certain slot or book appointments to ask, you know, for support. And it might not be that the educational psychologist has the capacity to come in there and then or anytime soon, but certainly they can relay the concerns that they have of this particular child, who and do so anonymously, obviously, and get the right information that they need to put certain things in place in the interim of an observation. So this educational psychologist has come in and has done an observation, and they're obviously waiting for a report. Really, really bizarre. But then the child receives a 5-day fixed exclusion less than a week after the observation. Now, for me, I think it's absolutely diabolical that the school have done this, because what they are opening themselves up to is a disability discrimination claim. I just don't understand it. The school are aware at this point that there is a chance that this child has special educational needs. That's the threshold for an EHCP, certainly, in that your child has or may have special educational needs. It's very likely that this child does at this stage. And so what will happen is there isn't an EHCP in place. Again, mum has asked for this. She's asked the school for support in this, and the school have also said, oh, it takes a while. Guys, if the schools are not doing it, you can do it yourself, okay? You can make an application to your local authority for an education healthcare needs assessment, okay? Write that down. And that will get the ball rolling if the school are not compliant, if they're not willing or forthcoming to do it. Essentially, you just need to gather all the evidence that you have. The school will also be contacted for evidence. And look, IPSI is a great organisation. Guys, I'm not getting paid to advertise IPSI, by the way, but they're a great organisation that has model letters and samples where you can actually just tailor your letter and write directly either to your local authority or to your school if you need that support. So jump on the internet and get on IPSI, because they're a great organisation and I used to volunteer for them also. But yes, back to this scenario. So mum has asked for support for an education healthcare plan. That hasn't been done. School have sort of said, you know, oh, well, you know, that can take a while as well. And there's no guarantee that, you know, you'll get it. There's no guarantee that you won't. And at the very least, if you can prove that your child has or may have a need for an education healthcare plan because of a special educational need, but you've met the threshold for a needs assessment anyway. So this child is now currently on this 5-day fixed term exclusion, and it's really, really, really unfortunate. But, you know, I've said to mum, look, you have so much evidence behind you to show a potential disability discrimination case. And it doesn't matter that the child has not got a diagnosis at this point, because there's clearly special educational needs that's going on. And I think that the educational psychologist report will alert to that fact also, will confirm that. But I just wanted to just do this video today because I just thought there are so many parents that are going out there at their wits' end and not really realizing what's available to them. What can they actually do? Guys, you need to be pushing for that educational psychologist. Push for that EHC needs assessment. Push for it. Don't take no as an answer. And remember, if the local authority refuses to assess, you can always appeal. And again, there are model letters on IPSI that can help you do that. So it's really, really important. Put everything in writing. Make sure all your correspondence is writing, because what you're doing essentially is you're collating, you're building evidence. So this mum, if she decides at any point to go to a tribunal for a disability discrimination claim, she's got it there. The school ought to have known that her child has special educational needs, because in nursery she asked for the involvement of an educational psychologist. Again, she asked in reception. She also asked for the involvement of the she also asked for an application for an education healthcare needs assessment. The school have also put it in writing that they've referred him to a specialist health visitor. I mean, I don't know if it's a rookie head teacher or what have you, but yeah, it's completely bizarre. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out there and just say, any parent who's going through something like this, please, 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 your first and foremost thing to do is make sure your correspondence is in writing. Document absolutely everything. Even if the teacher's just said good morning to you, make sure it's in writing. Request for the involvement of the SENCO if that hasn't already happened. If that has happened and things are not going any better, and you are convinced that there is something going on, I mean, if your child has had 10 exclusions, more than likely that there is something going on, okay? Ask for the involvement of the educational psychologist. Ask for the support of the school to help you with an educational needs assessment. If they're not willing to do that, you can make that referral yourself on your local authority's website. Call up the SEND team, ask them for an application form, or you might be able to do it online. But get that ball rolling. The sooner you do it, the better. Don't leave it to the point in which your child gets permanently excluded, which unfortunately looks like is where this child may be potentially heading. But hopefully with the right support, mum is going to be able to stop that from happening. So I wish you guys all the best. I hope your child is not going through anything like this, but if they are, I hope these tips are something that can help you get the right support in place and prevent a permanent exclusion from happening. Okay, guys, if you like what you see and you want to see more, please do leave a comment. It gives me the motivation to continue to do videos. I know there's lots of parents out there who are suffering and struggling. I've been there. I am that parent. Unfortunately, my son is 21 now and he's thriving. He's working. He's just amazing. But this did not come without its challenges, its hard work and its sacrifices. But I know that if I can do it, you guys can do it too. And that's the reason why I do these videos. So if you like what you see, you want to see more, like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.